Hey guys, do you want to hear about the scariest first date I went on? Well, buckle in. Picture this. Guy off Tinder. You're texting constantly, calling for hours. For about a week, right? He keeps saying meet up, meet up, meet up. Alright, you give in. Let's meet up. That's not really your thing, but let's meet up. He's like, yo, let's go get some sushi. Alright, cool. We're vibing. You go get sushi, he pays. Alright, everything's going okay. You go walk around IKEA for a couple of hours. Because it's something to do, something to make small talk about, something to learn about someone. Afterwards, you're both sitting in his car. You drove yourself there, but he drove both of you to IKEA. And you're sitting there thinking, everything's normal. Let's talk about music. Let me show you TikToks. Normal first date stuff, right? In the middle of you talking, he goes, come here. I'm like, me? What? And before you can even process what is going on, he is locking lips with you, whether you're initiating or not, and pushing your head into the headrest while he kisses like he eats a hot dog. It's not funny, but I don't know how else to deal with it. This goes on for a matter of seconds before he finally breaks the kiss. And you decide, hey, this is a random guy that I met online. I do not know how he'll react to certain things. I'm not going to directly tell him no. So I say, hey, actually, I'm really not into PDA. Do you mind if we save that till later? To which he replies, this isn't public. We're in a car. That continues a couple more times. Not as aggressive, not as long, but it's definitely not wanted. And maybe I'm the problem, because I'm like, maybe he's just having a bad night. Maybe he just really likes me. Because I proceeded to hang out with him a couple more hours. And that was the biggest mistake. I decide if we're going to continue hanging out, I'll drive my car. So I make an excuse of why I should be the one driving. So we drive, we go to a park, we walk around, we end up at the end of the night in a parking lot talking. I know how that sounds, but in no way was that an invitation for anything. I just wanted to talk. And I made that clear because he kept proceeding to kiss me. And at this point, I'm just going to kiss him because whatever. But then I make it clear I don't want it to go any further than that. I very clearly communicate, no, I don't put out on the first date. And he's like, aw. And you know what he does? He whips out his wiener. And he starts jerking it. And so I'm just sitting there, looking out the window, fucking off on my phone. Like, do I even acknowledge that this is happening right now? He's over there doing his thing. What do I do? Like, what do I actually do? So I'm like, hey, I'm tired. Like, it's late. Like, I should be getting home. To which he just ignores me and continues doing his thing in my car. Anyway, he gets done doing his thing. And we're, like, sitting, trying to, like, talk normally after that. Because I still have to, like, take him back to his car. He starts trauma dumping.
Byla jsem na dovolené a dostala jsem pokoj s číslem 213. Když jsem k mému pokoji přišla, všimla jsem si, že na zdi chybí cedulka s tím číslem. Ale to jsem nijak neřešila. Odemčela jsem si a šla jsem dovnitř. Všechno bylo v pořádku. Pokoj čistý, hezký, takový útulný. A měl krásný výhled na moře. Jen zvláštní bylo, že mi tam nefungoval signál a vůbec jsem se nemohla připojit na Wi-Fi. V noci jsem si všimla, že na nočním stolku leží nějaká černobílá fotka. Sedí na ní muž na posteli a pokoj vypadá úplně stejný jako ten, ve kterém jsem teď ubytovaná já. Ráno jsem šla na recepci a jen jsem se chtěla zeptat, co je to za muž na té fotce. Nejprve, než mi paní recepční odpověděla, se zeptala, z jakého jsem pokoje. Řekla jsem jí, že můj pokoj má číslo 213. Recepční chvíli mlčela a potom se na mě podívala a řekla: Pokoj 213, to jste se asi spletla. Ten pokoj je více než 20 let zrušený a zazděný, protože se tam kdysi oběsil jeden chlápek. Strašně jsem se vyděsila a s hrůzou jsem běžela pro věci a chtěla jsem okamžitě z toho hotelu odjet. Jenže když jsem doběhla k mému pokoji, pokoj 213 zmizel.
Scary Storytime While I Fix Store-Bought Slime, Appalachian Mountains Edition. I think I said it right this time. This storytime is extremely creepy, and this slime is from the Dollar Tree. This man named Kevin decided to take his wife and his 5-year-old daughter on a camping / hiking amongst the Appalachian Trail. This doesn't smell like anything. Okay. Dollar Tree. Oh. I was about to say something bad. I have a classic case of a man not really believing in the scary story times that surround the Appalachian Mountains, okay? The folklore, if one will. This slime is not pokey, but it's extremely stretchy. Well, it was. Kevin was warned not to go on the trail and camp at night. He was warned not to do it, okay? Especially because he doesn't know anything about the Appalachian Mountains and he doesn't believe anything. So he was literally warned not to do it. I forgot to show y'all, I put water in here. His wife, Sarah, was a little skeptical. She didn't want to do it because she's heard the stories about it. But he was like, come on, it would be perfect for our anniversary. Like, I have this whole thing planned. And she reluctantly agreed. Keep in mind, their 5-year-old daughter has no say in this. So, yeah. They go, they're setting everything up. And in the daytime, everything's chill, everything's normal. And in the nighttime is when it starts to get shaky. Specifically, 12 a.m. Their campsite is set up and everything. They have no issues with that. And they put their daughter to sleep. So they're just minding their business, talking. And next thing you know, the forest goes absolutely quiet. I have freaking goosebumps, but I have a jacket on. I'm talking about no crickets, no bugs, no noise. It was silent. And this kind of freaked them out, but they decided, let's just go to sleep, like, whatever. So as they go to sleep, like maybe like 20 to 30 minutes into them sleeping, they start to hear footsteps around the tent. So Sarah is scared and she tells Kevin, like, say something. And so Kevin goes, hello? Nobody says anything. The footsteps stop though, so they decide, okay, let's go back to sleep. Crazy, right? They go back to sleep when their daughter wakes up screaming, and she's just like literally not making sense. She's just crying, saying, they got me, they got me, they got me. I'm adding some activator. When the daughter is screaming, that's when they hear footsteps just running around the tent in circles. And now at this point, they all scream. So I assume the daughter fell back asleep because he doesn't really make this clear when he's telling me the story. So him and Sarah are spooked, so they stayed up all night. And Sarah, she was asleep. She was unconscious that entire time. At this point, it's morning time, and when they got out of the tent, there was tracks, like, running so fast, like it kind of made a dent in the dirt. They both looked scared and pale, and their daughter is still, like, asleep. She's not waking up. They take her to the hospital, and that's where she has, I believe, 2 seizures. And their 5-year-old daughter was truly never the same after that. This is where it gets even more creepy. So when the daughter finally gains consciousness, I'm itching because I'm getting overstimulated. Okay, so when the daughter gains consciousness, she will not look at the parents. And if she does, she kind of looks past them. And like she points besides the parents. And she's always like, she's not even making sense. She just mumbles. So they decide to take her to a psychiatrist because what they experienced in the woods was truly creepy. This is where their daughter, her name is Lily, I forgot to say that. Their daughter Lily starts drawing like her and this big black thing. And the big black thing is always like looking angry towards the parents. But the daughter is constantly drawing this big creepy black thing that's like 8 foot tall, okay? Back home, far away from the mountains. But Lily, she's only getting creepier and she's just stopped talking. One day, Sarah and Kevin are asleep in their room when Sarah wakes up screaming because Lily had a sharp odd object and she was standing over them, like just standing over them, looking down at them. And when, like, you know, Sarah screamed, Kevin woke up, and this is where Lily goes, we will get you. Honey, you gotta go. I don't know where you gonna go, but you gotta go. So like I said, Sarah was just never the same after that. I don't know what happened to Sarah. The story ends there, and he hasn't sent me an update. So, yeah. Y'all let me know what I should do to the slime, because it came all together, but it's just, I think I broke it.
Weird spooky story time. Reddit stories about glitches in the Matrix people experienced. It was a random Friday night as we sat and talked about family on the couch. Suddenly, my mom's face became pixelated, like a computer program for a split second. I wasn't drunk nor on any drug. I was completely clear-minded. My eyesight is 1920. It creeped me out so much I haven't been able to come back to see her since. And that's not even the weirdest part. My mom has also been very strange and distant towards me since that day, via texts and calls. Yesterday, I plucked up all my courage to call and tell her this, and guess what she said? I saw your face did the same thing. Okay, I did not expect that last part where the mom saw it too. I've heard stories of people seeing like other people become pixelated, and I think this is part of where the glitch in the matrix stuff comes from, where people believe that we live in some kind of matrix or whatnot. It's crazy because you can't say that like it was imagination or that it was just in her head, because the mom saw it too, and like, so that's why her mom was being weird with her. I wonder if her mom thought she was being weird with her too. Let me know in the comments what you think, or if any of you have ever experienced some kind of weird moment that maybe was a glitch.
Should we show them the older homestead?
Yeah, let's go. As you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
It went to both.
Yeah.
The only thing she was doing was walking home. He just happened to be walking right behind her. 19-year-old Audrey Griffin was born and raised in Australia, and from a very young age, Audrey excelled in sports. She was so athletic, she loved to do all different kinds of things like water polo, rugby, surf, triathlons, you name it, she did it, and she was good at it. Audrey also had plans to enlist in the Navy, and she did so when she was on her second year at university. Those who knew her described her to be warm, happy, friendly, always with a smile on her face, a radiant soul full of light, kindness, and laughter. She was such a loved girl, and she had such a bright future ahead of her, and it physically pains me to say that she never got to live out her dreams. On March 21st of 2025, Audrey was at a place called Arena in New South Wales in Australia. She was there to visit family and friends and her loved ones before she went off to go to the Navy. Her first day there was spent with family, visiting her grandfather. She had plans to stay the night at her father's house because he lived there as well. And the following day, on the 22nd, she had plans to go out with her friends. They were kind of treating it as a little goodbye party for her, knowing that they wouldn't see her for a while when she did go off to the Navy. But nobody could have predicted that Audrey Griffin would not wake up to see another day. Audrey was out with her friends having fun until around 2 in the morning when she was ready to call it a night. She said goodbye to all her friends, hugged them, told them that she loved them, telling them that she was going to be either calling an Uber or using a different rideshare app to call a ride back to her father's house. But Audrey never made it home. According to police documents, we know that she was last seen around 2 in the morning. Her last known location on her phone was near Pump Bridge. On her walk home, she sent 2 Snapchats to one of her friends who started to get concerned about her when she was not responding to any of her text messages the morning after. Audrey's mom now believes that Audrey had started to walk along the water because she was having trouble finding a ride. The morning after, March 21st of 2025, Audrey's mom, Kathleen, woke up and the first thing that she did was check Audrey's location. Her mom was back in Sydney, but she knew that Audrey had gone out with her friends the night before and she just wanted to confirm that she had made it home. But her stomach sank when she saw that Audrey's location was not back at her father's house. In fact, it was at a river. So she called Audrey's dad, who confirmed that she had not made it home, but said that she had been considering sleeping over at a friend's house. So her parents called that friend, but she hadn't seen her either. As soon as her friends realized that Audrey was missing, they went straight to the area in which her phone's last location was pinging near the water. Audrey's father as well as officers met them there as well. The first things that were found were Audrey's purse and a hair clip left on the ground, and it did not take long for them to notice something in the water. It was Audrey's body, face down in the Arena Creek. She was gone. Authorities were way too quick to rule her passing as an accident, saying that she ended up there as a result of misadventure, suggesting that she accidentally fell into the creek and couldn't get back up. But her parents knew from day one that that was not the case. Her mom, Kathleen, has said, quote, "She was a swimmer. She's an ocean swimmer. She was strong. My gut was telling me one thing, and it was not to give up," end quote. And it was because of her parents and her loved ones fighting for justice that they would figure out what really happened to her and who was responsible. Her family and friends went back to the area in which her body was found in for the next 3 days in a row, looking for anything that might help them figure out what really happened, which is when they found Audrey's phone near a tree, starting to paint the idea that she did not just fall into the water as an accident. And eventually authorities admitted that the initial autopsy results did not sit right with them either, claiming that although the results did not initially suggest suspicious circumstances, something still was not adding up. But that part is confusing to me as to why this was ever ruled an accident, considering that DNA that was not hers was found underneath her fingernails, meaning that there was some kind of struggle and that Audrey clearly put up a fight, literally fighting for her life until her very last moments. Her jacket was also found that had marks of dirt on it, again suggesting that there was a struggle, which I guess those findings were not not found out until they looked at her body for a second time, but it makes no sense as to why they would not have found that in the first autopsy. Over the following weeks after discovering her body, police received several leads, but I think Audrey's parents and her friends deserve all the credit because they really were taking matters into their own hands, given that they were not happy about the way that the investigation was being treated. Her mother was going up and down the street, door knocking, stopping at different businesses, asking if they had CCTV footage that pointed towards the water where Audrey's body was found, seeing if they caught anything suspicious, and she was so disappointed when store after store after store told her that authorities never even stopped by, never asked any questions, never asked to see any CCTV footage, never questioned anyone whatsoever, really. And then on April 18th, authorities made an announcement that they were looking for a man that had been seen on CCTV footage in the area in which Audrey would have been walking the same night that she disappeared. Did not say that he was a suspect or a person of interest, only that they were looking to talk to him to see if he knew anything. And then a few days later, on April 21st, almost a month after Audrey's body was found, authorities arrested 53-year-old Adrienne Torrance in connection to Audrey's case. It turns out that after taking a closer look at everything, finally, I don't know what took them so long, but after they did so, on CCTV footage, they had seen a man walking very, very closely behind Audrey. After speaking to witnesses, they also learned that a man had heard what he described to be a distressing scream around 3 a.m. coming from the area near that same creek. And a different witness had seen a strange man behaving very suspiciously, whose description sounded a lot like the man that was seen on CCTV footage. One of Kathleen's friends had also reported that 5 days after finding Audrey's body, she had seen a man suspiciously walking around the crime scene and described him again to look exactly like the man who was caught on CCTV footage, even wearing the exact same outfit. Yet it still took weeks for authorities to connect the dots, but that's when they decided to take a closer look at Audrey's body, which is when they found the male DNA underneath her fingernails, and when they tested it against their database, they got an exact match for 53-year-old Adrienne Torrance, making it abundantly clear that her passing was not as a result of an accident, and once again confirming that she had put up a fight. The story that was now forming to sound likely was that Adrienne had snuck up and approached Audrey on her walk, gotten into a physical altercation with her, overpowering her, ending her life, and then leaving her body in the water. When all this information came out, again, this was not too long ago, this was this year, it was all over the media and the story was getting bigger day by day. People were in disbelief that a man would do something so evil, yet, after his name was released, there was one person who was not surprised to see his face on the news: Adrienne's ex-wife, Michelle. Adrienne and Michelle got married in 2022, and in the beginning stages of their relationship, Adrienne had been kind, caring, normal, but before long, Michelle saw his true colors and she quickly realized the kind of person that Adrienne was, which was someone with a lot of anger, very little patience, and very, very violent tendencies. He had a lengthy history of aggression against women, and in 2019, he had actually been imprisoned for 20 months, but he was released after only 4. Then he met Michelle, they got married, but throughout their entire marriage, Michelle witnessed firsthand just how quickly Adrienne would lose his temper and how quick he was to act on things that made him angry. She experienced him throwing things around, yelling at her, breaking things around her, so much so that she grew to fear him, deeply terrified of what he could be capable of doing. And in 2024, after filing for divorce, Michelle also made sure to get a restraining order against him. Adrienne didn't care. He broke the order and continued to contact Michelle over and over again, saying that he was going to show up to her house one day to end her. Out of fear, Michelle went back to the police station, and it was only then that she found out that he, 1, had a criminal history, and 2, just how lengthy it was. He had so much on his record, but one thing was constant: aggression against women. And looking at his background signaled that he was the exact kind of person who would do something like what happened to Audrey Griffin. After Michelle made the decision to end their marriage, after it was ruled that Adrienne was supposed to stay away from her, not contact her, he continued leaving her voicemail after voicemail, letting her know that one day he was going to go after her, and every single time Michelle would take this to the police station. But for some reason, 5 months passed of authorities allegedly looking for Adrienne but not being able to find him. Michelle would call regularly asking if they had found him yet, and they would just say, "No, still looking." This went on for 5 months, with no progress the entire time. Michelle sitting in her house, terrified, not knowing if he was looking into her windows, planning to do something terrible. When Michelle went to the police station in January of 2025 to report that Adrienne was still refusing to leave her alone and saying that she was terrified of him and constantly looking over her shoulder, he was taken to court. But instead of receiving jail time, he was released and was supposed to be carefully watched and monitored, yet he wasn't. And only 4 months after that, he would take Audrey's life. Soon after his arrest in connection to Audrey, Michelle cooperated with authorities, telling them all about the kind of person that Adrienne was, saying that she always had a gut feeling that he was going to hurt someone very badly. She also told them that the night of Audrey's passing, Adrian had called her over and over again, leaving her voicemails telling her that he was going to unalive her. And she said that by that point, she had lost all faith in authorities because she had called about him so many times before, yet nothing was ever done, which is why she did not call them that night. In March of 2025, obviously, I'm not putting any blame on Michelle whatsoever. She was 1,000,000% a victim of Adrian's as well. But my point being that Adrian should have never been allowed to be free just out and about walking the streets based on his past behavior. And when Audrey's parents found out about who Adrian Torrance was and about his past and about how many times he was failed to be put behind bars, I mean, you can imagine how they felt. They could not fathom how a person like that was allowed to just be roaming free. If he had been given jail time like he should have been, Audrey Griffin would still be alive. And her parents were not only sad about their daughter, obviously they were heartbroken, dealing with the biggest loss they had ever dealt with, but they understood that if it wasn't her, it was going to be someone else. Adrian was going to do this to someone someday. Every single warning sign was there, and every single warning sign was ignored. And it makes me sick to my stomach knowing that if Audrey's parents would not have pushed as hard as they did, if they just accepted the ruling that this was an accident, I have no doubt that Adrian would have done this again to somebody else. Maybe to Michelle, or maybe to any other female that he just caught at the wrong place at the wrong time. And as if everything I told you wasn't already enough to prove Adrian's guilt, we later find out that weeks after Audrey's body was found, but before his arrest, he had called a friend to confess, saying, quote, "I just effing clicked and I have no reason for my actions. I just did it, man. I was so effed up, you know. I killed someone about a month ago and now they're looking for me," end quote. Adrian was in custody for 3 days before he unalived himself in his cell. What a coward is all I have to say about that. Audrey's parents have not and will not give up on trying to do everything that they can to make sure that something changes so things like this stop happening. And her mother has said that she's never going to give up on her daughter, but that right now she isn't living. She's just focusing on trying to survive. After her passing, the community really showed up for her family to offer their support. Over 1,000 people gathered together at Terrigal Beach to honor Audrey and to show their support for the family. One of Audrey's favorite times of the day was sunset. The sun is setting right now. It's making me so sad. And when they all gathered together, Kathleen asked for everyone to watch together as the sun went down to honor her daughter. Audrey was a student. She was an athlete. She was a friend. She was a daughter. And she really had her whole life ahead of her. And I hope that her story makes a difference. That is all I have for you guys today. Thank you for listening to this. Thank you so much for spending time with me and for listening to Audrey's story. I hope you guys are having the best day. If not, go do something to make it the best day. Make somebody happy, and I will see you in my next video. Massive kiss on the forehead to every single one of you.
Okay, let's read another scary story that was DM'd to me by Caitlin. This is a short story, but it's so freaking scary. This, terrified me. Okay. One day I went to take my kids to school and left the door unlocked like I always did. I came back and noticed my front door was cracked. When I went outside, my dog was gone. I went outside hollering for him, thinking I just didn't shut the door all the way. My neighbor came from across the road and had my dog. He told me there was a man in my house and that police are on the way. The man was found under my bed, hiding under my blanket. And this happened in Virginia. And I'm so glad that her dog got out. Her dog was safe. I'm glad that her and her kids are safe. That is terrifying. And that's why you should always sweep the house whenever you get home, because you never freaking know, somebody could be under your bed. Also, if you have a scary story, my DMs are open. If you're not able to DM me, just leave me a comment and I'll follow you so I'm able to message you. But yeah, let me know if you want me to read one of your scary stories. Let's read another creepy story that was DM'd to us. First, I need a sip of my drink. When I was in kindergarten or first grade, me and my brother's friends were hanging out at the school just messing around. We were playing hide and seek, tag, and some other stuff. Before we left, we decided to play truth or dare. There were a couple of rounds of them just asking me if there was a girl that I liked, but eventually I dared my brother's friend to go around the corner and ask, "Is anyone with us?" For reference, we were on some stairs and around the corner was the playground, and I swear to you, we heard a little kid's voice say, "I am." They sounded maybe 5. A couple years later, my brother was sitting in the living room playing some game I don't remember. I was on the couch. We were talking and a book from the bookshelf fell down. It wasn't at the edge and we had no animals in the room at the time. He believes it was a ghost. So it sounds like we have another person who's super open to the spiritual world, and that is freaking creepy. Let's read another one. So when I was about 5 or 6, I lived in this house and was absolutely terrified of it to the point I wouldn't go into my bedroom in the house even in broad daylight. I would see and hear things through the whole house, but mostly in that room. Now when we lived in that house, I would sleepwalk and sleep talk, although I still sleep talk, but I would have very realistic dreams of people I've never met and who always looked a little off. There was also this thing that was always in these night terrors. I don't know what it looks like now, but I know it only appeared when I tried to sleep in my own room. Apparently one night I was in my room while my parents were watching TV in theirs and my brother in the room across from mine. All of a sudden my parents heard a screaming coming from my room. My dad jumped up and ran down the hall, followed by my mom. When they got there, I was standing on my bed in a star position, screaming at my wall, telling something to get out of my room. My dad grabbed me and my brother and ran off. I have no recollection of this night and didn't even know it happened until my mom told me when we moved. My mom decorated my new bedroom with dream catchers to try and stop my night terrors, which worked, but now I can't sleep peacefully without one because I feel watched and have bad dreams about bad things happening. Mostly involving entities I haven't seen, and also when I get hurt in these dreams, I wake up with the same spot hurting. Okay, this one is so relatable because I have dreams like that. My dreams are so real. If I feel like pain in my dream, I will feel it when I wake up. A dream catcher is a really good idea. I think I'm gonna get one of those and start sleeping with one in my room too, because I always have like vivid nightmares. Yeah, I'm gonna get a dream catcher.
Good afternoon, guys. So I have a story for y'all. Yesterday, I went to Target for an order for somebody, and I was walking back to my car. I got into my car, and I recognized this car, the aisle ahead of me, driving slowly. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe he's just looking at my deckies that I have on the dashboard, okay? But then I got this weird feeling still, like, something ain't right. So I'm watching this dude, and he's in the kind of car that I'm in, but different color tinted windows. So I'm watching him, and he goes in to turn in one of the parking lots to come in the aisle I'm in behind me. So he gets to where I'm at behind me, and he slowly stops and keeps creeping and driving and looking at me still. So then he freaking parked next to me in the parking spot that was empty. And I'm like freaking out, like, what the hell? What is this guy doing? You know, what does he want? So I'm over here putting sanitizer on my hands and trying to avoid him. But I look over, and he's just sitting there like this, staring at me for like 2 seconds. And I couldn't really see him, but like, how can I say it? I couldn't really like make out how he looked like, but at the same time I could see him a little bit. Anyways, after 2 seconds, he pulled away. And so I'm thinking, okay, he left. You know, maybe he wanted to talk to me. I don't know. But he left, and then I pulled out to leave, to get out of the parking lot. And as I'm leaving the parking lot, I see the aisle behind me, not the same aisle, but the next one behind. And he's still driving very slowly. So I get the hell out of there. But that was weird, guys. I don't know what to think.
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen.
Did the window
Sean.
break?
A really scary experience happened to me this morning, and I need to tell someone about it. So during the week, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning for work. It's like the first job of the day. So when I get up, my boyfriend is obviously still passed out sleeping like any normal person. And my house is pitch black, like dark, because we sleep with all the lights off, TV off, white noise on. Like, on this morning, I always wake up, and obviously the first like 5 minutes I'm awake, I'm so out of it and tired because it's 4 a.m. And I try to keep all the lights off so that I don't wake him up. Now, this morning, lights are still off, and I went into the bathroom, like in our bedroom, because I keep like my stuff to get ready in there and to get into the living room again so I don't wake him up because I feel bad. And so I'm fiddling like in the dark, right? And only the dim light from my phone is on. And it's dim, like my brightness is basically all the way down. And I see the light turn on in the kitchen. Like from our room you can see like if any light in the house turns on, to be honest, because it's pitch black. So I'd see the light turn on to the kitchen or like the living room. I'm like, that's weird. I was like, good morning, babe. Like, don't know why you're up. And I'm still looking down, like pulling my stuff, right? Trying to get it together, feel for things. And it's quiet. And I'm like, good morning. And I hear like almost a gurgling sound, like a really weird sound, but it sounded like a person like choking in a way coming from like the living room. So I immediately like run out there, right? I don't see my boyfriend. I don't see anyone. And I'm like, what is happening? So I go back into our room, right? And as I turn around to go back in the room, I hear laughing behind me. Turn around, guess what? Surprise, nobody's there. Walk back into our bedroom, he is passed out sleeping. My boyfriend is out like a light. And the weirdest part is, my dog, who normally picks up on things, was hiding underneath my dresser. There can never be peace. There can never be anything normal. And I look over at my boyfriend again. Both of our cats are like laying next to him, looking up at me with wide eyes. And normally in the morning too, when I get up, like one of the first things I have to do is feed the cats their wet food, because the second they see me stand up, they go feral and they know it's like time to eat. Super interesting how they didn't run into the kitchen, especially when the light turned on. So I will be going home and doing a deep cleanse because I have no idea what that was, but I just know it scared the absolute life out of me, and no. And I get ready in like 10 minutes. Obviously, I'm not like stunning right now when I work at like my AM job. And the whole time I got ready, I just felt like I was being watched. It was a very uncomfortable feeling, and I never feel that way in my home. Like, I'm so protected in my home, in my space. So, I don't know, guys. That's it for today. Wish me luck.